The arena was silent, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of silence that made every alien in the crowd hold their breath. They had come from all corners of the galaxy, each species hoping to witness something extraordinary, something terrifying. And they were about to. Towering above everything in the arena was the Draxion Prime, the galaxy's most feared predator. Its massive body was covered in dark, spiked armor, muscles rippling under its tough skin. Its eyes glowed red, and its claws were sharp enough to tear through steel. Every species knew the stories. The Draxion Prime had never been defeated. Armies had tried, hunters had tried, and every single challenger had fallen. It was the ultimate predator, the living nightmare of the galaxy. And yet, in the center of the arena, standing alone, was a human. Not a soldier, not a warrior with special armor, just a man named Commander Rian Hale. He was tall for a human but small compared to the monster before him. His uniform was simple, gray, unarmed. He didn't look dangerous, yet somehow he radiated calmness. He didn't run, didn't shout, didn't act afraid. He simply stood there, meeting the gaze of the Draxion Prime with eyes that seemed to know something the entire galaxy didn't. The audience gasped as the monster moved. Everyone expected a deadly leap, a roar, a fight that would end with human screams. But what happened next was impossible. The Draxion Prime lowered its head. Its towering frame bent forward, closer and closer to Rian. His claws touched the floor, and still it didn't attack. It didn't growl. It didn't even sniff him aggressively. It bowed. Shock spread across the arena. Aliens whispered to each other, pointing at the screen that showed this unbelievable moment in real time. Impossible? The Draxion never bows, said a reptilian delegate. It must be trickery, said another, a small insectoid with trembling antennae. Some thought it was a trap. Others thought Rian must have some secret weapon or some unknown human technology that could control monsters. No one dared approach the arena. Fear mixed with curiosity like a thick fog over every face. Rian, the human, said nothing. He simply waited, his posture calm, confident. He didn't flinch when the Draxion Prime's massive head came close to his own. For the first time in history, the galaxy saw the strongest predator show submission, and it was not out of fear of the weapons or armies around it. It was something else. Something no alien had ever seen before, respect or maybe loyalty. The camera zoomed in on Rian's face, and even though he looked ordinary, there was a quiet strength in his eyes. The viewers at home and the delegates in the arena began to understand that this was not a simple act of obedience. The Draxion Prime was acting this way because it remembered something, someone. Somehow, in its enormous mind, the creature recognized Rian as special. And that realization made the galaxy's strongest predator, the ultimate killing machine, bow before a single human. Rumors spread instantly. On every planet, species discussed the broadcast. Some couldn't believe it. How could a human, the seemingly weakest species, command the respect of a creature that had destroyed armies? Others feared the consequences. If one human could control such a monster, what else could humanity do? They had always underestimated humans, seeing them as fragile, clever but weak. Now, the universe had to reconsider. Even in the arena, the atmosphere was tense. Every alien felt that something extraordinary was happening, but no one knew the truth. Was the Draxion Prime loyal to Rian? Was it afraid of him? Or was it just following some strange instinct? The audience could only watch, frozen, as the human and the predator faced each other in silence. Even the Council of Galactic Leaders, who had planned this test, could not hide their astonishment. They had expected a fight. They had expected chaos. Instead, they witnessed something that would change their understanding of humans forever. The narrator of the broadcast explained what no alien could see. The Draxion Prime's bow was not out of weakness. It was fear, yes, but not ordinary fear. It was the kind of fear that comes from knowing someone is capable of things beyond imagination. The kind of fear that respects power not from strength, but from wisdom, courage, and understanding. Rian had survived challenges that no human should have. He had faced death and the deadliest predators and had not only survived but had earned respect from beings far stronger than him. And now that respect was returned in the most shocking way possible. The bow of the Draxion Prime. The crowd could not look away. Every camera in the galaxy was broadcasting this moment. Every alien species, from insectoid hunters to massive amphibians, knew that they were witnessing history. A single human, unarmed and calm, had proven that humanity was more than weak flesh and F. Years before the shocking bow, Rian Hale's life had been nothing like what the galaxy now saw. He was part of an exploration team sent to the distant planet Vorith, a world covered in dense forests, jagged mountains, and endless storms. The planet was wild, dangerous, and uncharted. The crew's mission was simple: explore, gather data, and return home. But something went terribly wrong. Their ship was caught in a violent storm, the hull cracked under pressure, and the crew was forced to crash land on the planet's surface. The planet itself seemed alive in hostility. Giant creatures with armored shells and sharp claws roamed freely. Predators hunted without mercy. And among them, the Draxion species were the top hunters, intelligent, fast, and merciless. The crew tried to defend themselves, but weapons were useless against the Draxions. One by one, Rian watched his friends fall. Panic and despair could have consumed him, but Rian was different. He refused to give up. He refused to die. Alone, injured, and starving, Rian had only his wits and courage. He quickly learned that survival meant understanding the creatures around him, not just running or hiding. He observed the predators from a distance, noting their behavior, their patterns, and how they communicated through growls, gestures, and subtle movements. Slowly, he discovered a way to predict their actions to avoid being attacked. Then, one fateful night, something extraordinary happened. A young Draxion pup, separated from its pack, was caught in a deadly trap of tangled vines. Rian hesitated for only a moment. Every instinct told him to stay away. Draxions were dangerous, unpredictable. But he made a choice. Carefully, he freed the pup, speaking in soft words, moving slowly, showing he meant no harm. The pup stared at him, breathing heavily, unsure of this small, strange creature who had saved its life. That moment changed everything. The pup did not attack. It did not run. Slowly, it crept closer to Rian, tilting its head as if it understood that he had saved it from certain death. In the wild, predators rarely remembered mercy. But the Draxions were different. They were intelligent. They remembered. And this little act of kindness planted a seed that would grow for years to come. Rian stayed on the planet, learning more every day. He discovered which plants were safe to eat, how to find fresh water, and how to avoid the deadliest predators. But most importantly, he learned how to communicate with the Draxion species. At first, it was subtle: a gesture, a tone, a respectful approach. Then came trust. The young pup, now a little stronger, started following him. Soon, more Draxions began to notice him, curious about this strange human who did not attack, who did not fear them. By the time years had passed, Rian had become something unique. He was no longer just a human trying to survive. He was a beastmaster. He moved through the forests of Vorith with creatures that had once hunted him as predators, now acting as companions and allies. The galaxy could not even imagine a human capable of this. And yet, here he was, alone on a forgotten planet, learning the ultimate lesson. Respect and loyalty could be stronger than weapons, stronger than claws, stronger than fear itself. The first step of this bond was small, saving one pup. But it had consequences that no one in the galaxy could predict. Every Draxion he helped, every life he respected, added to his power in ways that armies could never measure. Rian's humanity, his courage, his kindness, and his understanding became his greatest weapon. Little did the galaxy know, this quiet life on Vorith, full of struggle, learning, and trust-building, was preparing Rian for a moment that would shock every alien species. The time would come when the Draxion Prime, the fiercest creature in the galaxy, would kneel before him. And it all began with a single choice: to save instead of fight. Years on Vorith had transformed Rian Hale from a scared, stranded human into something the galaxy could not imagine. a beastmaster, a human who could command creatures far stronger than himself. What started with saving a small Draxian pup had grown into an entire pack of predators that followed him, protected him, and even fought for him when danger appeared. Rian learned quickly that power did not come from weapons. On Vorith, a gun or a blade was useless against the largest predators. What mattered was respect, understanding, and timing. He studied the Draxians, learning their language of growls, clicks, and body movements. He could sense when they were angry, hungry, or afraid. He could move through the forest without alerting predators. He could calm the wildest Draxian with nothing more than a soft word and a gesture. One day, Rian faced his greatest challenge. A young Titan Draxian, a creature even bigger and stronger than the Draxian Prime the galaxy would later fear, appeared at the edge of his territory. Its eyes glowed with aggression. Its claws dug deep into the ground, and it roared like thunder. Every instinct told Rian to hide. Every instinct told him to run. But instead, he stood his ground. Slowly, carefully, he approached. He did not try to fight. He did not threaten. He spoke softly, extended a hand, and offered trust. The Titan hesitated. It circled him, growling, testing him. But something strange happened. It recognized something in Rian. Perhaps it remembered that humans could be different, that some humans could be brave and kind. Slowly, it lowered its head and allowed Rian to touch it. That moment was not just survival. It was connection, a bridge between predator and human that no alien had ever seen. After that day, word of Rian's bond with the Draxians grew, even if only the forest creatures knew it firsthand. Packs of predators started approaching him, not to attack, but to follow. They brought their young for him to protect, their injured for him to heal. Rian became the alpha of creatures stronger than any army, and yet he never abused his power. He never demanded obedience through fear. His control was earned, not forced. As he moved through the forests, other predators began testing him. But the Draxians stood by his side, and even the most ferocious beasts hesitated before attacking him. He learned the strength of loyalty and patience. No army could create the bond he had with the creatures of Vorith. No weapon could replace the trust he had earned. Rian's reputation spread slowly, through whispers carried by alien scouts who occasionally visited Vorith. They described a human who could command monsters far stronger than themselves. They said he could walk among beasts without fear. They said the Draxians obeyed him as if he were one of their own. Most laughed it off. "It is impossible," they said. "Humans are weak. They cannot control a Draxian, let alone a Titan." But the truth was undeniable. Over the years, Rian trained himself and the Draxians to communicate silently, moving as one. He could predict the movements of every pack member. They protected him in ways that no human could ever imagine. When danger appeared, they became shields, weapons, and companions. And when he stood before the greatest Draxian of all, the Draxian Prime, the creature did not attack. It remembered the lessons of loyalty, the respect for Rian's courage, and eventually it bowed. Rian had become not just a survivor, but a legend in the making. A human who could command the deadliest predator in the galaxy, not through force, but through understanding, patience, and kindness. Every challenge he faced, every life he saved, every risk he took on Vorith built the foundation for the moment the galaxy would later witness. A human standing alone while the strongest creature in existence bowed before him. And yet, even with all this power, Rian remained human. He laughed, he wondered, he sometimes felt fear. But he had learned that true strength came from respect, not from domination. That lesson would carry him far beyond Vorith and into the heart of the galaxy, where no one would ever again underestimate humans. Word of Rian Hale did not stay hidden forever. Scouts from distant planets began to whisper of a human who had survived the deadliest predators and tamed creatures stronger than any army. They said he could walk among monsters without fear, that even the fiercest Draxians obeyed him. At first, most civilizations ignored the rumors. Humans are fragile, they said. They are clever, but not strong enough to control beasts like Draxians. But when alien explorers finally reached Vorith, they found something they had never expected. They found hundreds of Dractions surrounding Rian, moving as one with him, circling him like soldiers around a general. Each beast was massive, faster than any machine, sharper than any weapon. They did not attack. They did not threaten. They watched him, protected him, obeyed him. The aliens panicked. They had never seen such control, such power coming from a single human. Some tried to communicate with him. Others tried to challenge him. But Rian remained calm. His eyes scanned the horizon, reading the movements of every creature around him. A subtle gesture from his hand, a small tilt of his head, and the Dractions shifted positions, keeping the intruders at a safe distance. It became clear that Rian was not just surviving, he was commanding. He moved through the alien scouts as if he were walking among friends. The Dractions followed every instinct of loyalty, ready to defend him against anything. The galaxy's strongest predator had found its master. And the master was human. The news spread like fire. Civilizations feared that humans, thought to be weak, had discovered a power no one could fight. Military leaders wondered, if one human could control these monsters, what else could humanity do? Could they build armies of beasts? Could they conquer planets? The whispers grew into panic, and panic grew into fear. Even within the Galactic Council, doubt and tension filled the chambers. Leaders argued about how to handle the situation. Some said humans should be destroyed before they became a threat. Others suggested diplomacy, offering alliances with the humans to avoid angering the creatures. But no one could agree. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and all because of a single human and his bond with creatures stronger than anything anyone had faced. Rian, however, remained focused. He did not seek glory. He did not desire power over the galaxy. On Vorith, he only wanted survival, understanding, and respect. Lessons he had learned from years living among the predators. And yet, fate was calling him beyond the planet. The time would come when he would face the Draction Prime itself, the most feared and strongest predator in the galaxy, in front of an audience that would include every species he had once thought indifferent to humans. When the first ships approached Vorith, carrying alien scouts, military teams, and scientists, Rian did not panic. The Dractions gathered, forming an unbreakable barrier around him. Every scout knew instinctively that this human was different. He was not just clever, not just brave, he was something entirely new. The galaxy had never seen a human like Rian Hale. That moment, when outsiders finally witnessed Rian and his pack, became the turning point. Every species realized that humans were not what they had believed. They were not fragile, unimportant, or weak. Humans could survive the deadliest worlds. Humans could tame the deadliest predators. Humans could command loyalty in the fiercest hearts of the galaxy. And as the Dractions moved as one with Rian, a chilling thought entered the minds of every alien who watched. If humans could do this, what would stop them from achieving even greater power? The galaxy was beginning to understand a truth it could not ignore. Underestimating humanity could be the deadliest mistake of all. The Galactic Council decided it was time to see the truth for themselves. Rumors of a human who could command the fiercest predators had spread too far. They needed proof, or they feared the galaxy would soon be ruled by a species they had long underestimated. They arranged a test. An arena, vast enough to hold armies and the most dangerous creatures, with every council member and species representative watching. Cameras were placed to broadcast the event across the galaxy. Rian Hale was brought to the arena. He did not fight. He did not argue. He walked calmly, his eyes scanning the environment, noting every detail. Around him, hundreds of alien delegates whispered, judging, doubting, and some even plotting. "This human is small. A single creature could destroy him," muttered one massive reptilian. "No human can control a Draction Prime," another said with confidence. Then the test began. From behind massive gates, the Draction Prime was released. Its enormous body shook the arena floor as it roared, a sound like rolling mountains. Every alien present flinched. Weapons were ready. Some species thought the human would not survive a single second. The monster's eyes locked onto Rian. The universe seemed to hold its breath. But Rian did not run. He did not show fear. Instead, he took a slow step forward. He raised a hand, a subtle gesture almost too small to notice. The Draxian Prime hesitated. Every creature in the arena sensed it. Something extraordinary was happening. The monster lowered its massive head, then kneeled. It did not attack. It did not growl. It bowed. The audience froze. Gasps echoed across the arena. Some aliens fainted. Cameras captured every moment, sending the footage to every corner of the galaxy. A creature that had never obeyed anyone, that had destroyed entire fleets and armies, had just knelt to a human. The whispers turned to panic. Some species finally understood the truth. Humans were far stronger than anyone had imagined. Rian spoke, quietly but firmly, so that the Draxian Prime could hear him. I do not ask you to obey me out of fear. Stand by me, as I have stood by those who need protection. Respect and loyalty are stronger than claws or weapons. The Draxian Prime lifted its head, its glowing eyes meeting Rian's. And in that moment, every alien present realized. The human had not just survived the creatures, he had earned their trust. The council members tried to regain control. They had weapons, armies, and advanced technology. But nothing could change what had happened. The strongest predator in the galaxy, feared across worlds, had acknowledged a single human as its master. And not through force, but through courage, understanding, and respect. That bow became a message that echoed far beyond the arena. Humans were no longer seen as weak. They could not be underestimated. The galaxy had witnessed something it had never thought possible. The power of humanity, not in technology or numbers, but in courage, intelligence, and the ability to earn loyalty from even the deadliest creatures. From that day, Rian Hale became more than a human. He became a symbol that the universe could not ignore. And every species that watched the event, no matter how powerful or cunning, realized the same terrifying truth. If humans could command the Draxian Prime, there was no limit to what they might achieve next. This Part 5 is designed to be highly suspenseful and cinematic, focusing on the arena test, the tension between aliens and human, and the shocking obedience of the Draxian Prime. Perfect for keeping your audience glued to the story. After the arena test, the galaxy was buzzing with shock and fear. But no one understood the full truth, why the Draxian Prime, the fiercest predator in the galaxy, had bowed to a human. Rian Hale finally spoke, not for fame, not for power, but to reveal a truth that no alien had ever imagined. He explained that the Draxian Prime did not obey humans because of fear or domination. It obeyed because of loyalty, respect, and a promise. Years ago, when he was stranded on the wild planet Vorith, he had saved a small Draxian pup from certain death. That single act of kindness had created a bond the species never forgot. The Draxians were intelligent, proud, and capable of remembering loyalty for a lifetime. The pup he saved grew, learned, and eventually became part of the strongest Draxian lineage. The Draxian Prime, the parent of the pup, remembered the human who had saved its child. That memory, that respect, had passed through the years, guiding the Prime's actions. The aliens listened in disbelief. They had always thought the universe was ruled by strength, weapons, and power. But Rian showed them that compassion and understanding could be stronger than fear or force. A human they had assumed weak had earned the respect of the deadliest creature in the galaxy through patience and courage. Rian continued. He described the years on Vorith, how he had learned to communicate with predators, how he had survived storms, starvation, and countless attacks, and how he had never used violence to control the creatures. Instead, he had listened to them, learned their ways, and acted with respect. That respect had become a bond stronger than claws, stronger than armor, stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The council members and spectators realized the moment they had witnessed in the arena was not domination, but a recognition of true strength. Rian's strength was not in his fists, nor his weapons, nor his armies. His strength was in his humanity, in his ability to inspire loyalty and trust in beings far stronger and more dangerous than himself. The Draxian Prime had bowed not because it feared Rian, but because it recognized the human as a protector, a leader, and a friend. And in doing so, it had shown the galaxy a new kind of power, the power of humans to change even the wildest hearts, to tame the untamable, and to stand as equals with the universe's deadliest beings. For the first time, the galaxy understood that humans were more than clever or fragile. Humans could survive, endure, and inspire loyalty in ways no one had predicted. Rian Hale became the living proof that true strength comes from courage, compassion, and understanding, not weapons or numbers. And in that moment, every alien watching began to rethink everything they believed about humans. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries, but now, it could no longer deny the truth. A species thought weak had the potential to shape the destiny of the universe. One act of loyalty, one choice to protect, one human at a time. The bow of the Draxion Prime was no longer a mystery. It was a lesson that the galaxy would never forget. Kindness, courage, and respect can make even the deadliest creatures kneel. This Part 6 is unique and emotionally powerful, revealing the truth behind the Draxion Prime's obedience and highlighting humanity's special qualities. Courage, respect, and intelligence. Perfect for an HFY story. The galaxy would never forget the day Rian Hale showed the true power of humanity. After the arena, after the bow of the Draxion Prime, every civilization began to see humans in a new light. They were no longer fragile, clever but weak, or insignificant. They were a species capable of inspiring loyalty, courage, and respect in even the deadliest beings the universe had ever known. Rian did not seek glory. He did not wish to rule or dominate. On Vorath and now across the galaxy, he acted as a bridge, a protector, a leader, and a symbol. He traveled between worlds with the Draxion Prime and its pack, demonstrating that humans could live alongside creatures stronger than armies, creatures feared by entire civilizations. Every planet he visited, every species that saw him and the monsters bowing beside him, began to understand the lesson. Humans are not to be underestimated. Ambassadors and leaders, once arrogant, now approached him with caution and curiosity. Many tried to ally with him, hoping to learn the secret of his bond with the Draxians. Others feared that humanity might one day use this power to challenge the strongest empires. But Rian reminded everyone that his strength was not in domination. It was in respect, understanding, and courage. Those who learned this lesson realized that true power did not always roar. Sometimes, it walked calmly, earning loyalty and trust. The legend of the human who could command the galaxy's deadliest predator spread quickly. Children across star systems heard stories of Rian Hale and the Draxion Prime. Scientists debated the intelligence of humans. Soldiers feared encountering them in battle. The once dismissed species now had a presence that no empire could ignore. And yet, despite the fame, Rian remained the same man. He laughed, he explored, and he continued to live by the principle that had earned him the loyalty of the Draxians. Protect those who cannot protect themselves, respect life, and act with courage even when fear is all around. When the Draxion Prime bowed, it had been a single moment of awe. But that moment became a symbol, a promise that humans could rise above expectations, survive the impossible, and shape the destiny of the galaxy. Every alien watching that day understood that humans were not just clever survivors. They were beings capable of leadership, of forging bonds stronger than weapons, and of changing the hearts of monsters. The galaxy began to whisper a new truth. If a human can tame the deadliest creature in existence, then humans can do the impossible. And for the first time in history, humans were no longer underestimated. They were respected, feared, and admired. They were no longer just one species among many. They were a force to be reckoned with. And so, the story of Rian Hale, the human who made monsters bow, became a legend. Not because he conquered armies or planets, but because he showed that courage, respect, and loyalty could create a power stronger than any weapon. The galaxy would remember this forever. Humans had arrived, and from that day forward, the universe knew. Underestimating humanity would be the deadliest mistake any civilization could make.